So good morning. In today's class, we are going to discuss about the functions of nephron. In previous class, we have already discussed what is the kidney and what are their functions. So as just look at this figure, just a recap of previous things. Two kidneys, and they are connected with the blood supply with the help of a artery and the vein. So using that artery, the blood will enter, and using that vein, the blood will go out. Then what is the function which is performed by the kidneys? Actually, the kidneys are having millions of nephron. Those are filtering the blood. That is the function, as simple as it is. So what is the structures of nephron? It is having, in the broad sense, it is having two parts. One is the renal capsule, another one is the renal tubules. So the capsule is the cup-shaped structure, which is made up of the Bowman's capsule and the glomerulus, and the sum total is known as the renal capsule or the Malpighian corpuscle. Malpighian corpuscle or the renal capsule, which is made up of a cup-shaped structure, and that cup is containing the glomerulus. Glomerulus is a tuft of capillaries having numerous pores, having tremendous capability of filtration of the blood. Okay, so after the that filters filter is passed through the renal tubules, and the rest of the blood is going back out of the these all these nephrons, and they will circulated throughout the body, and this thing is going on till the person is alive throughout his lifetime. So renal tubules, four kinds: proximal convoluted tubule, distal convoluted. In between these two are the convoluted one, not the straight tubules. In these two, they are loop of Henle's. And final one is the collecting duct, and these collecting ducts are connected with number of nephrons, not a single one, more than single nephrons. All these connected collecting ducts are connected at the minor calyx, then major calyx, then the pelvis, and the rest of the our excretory system. Now, what is the this is the another structure which is forming a specific structure which is known as the JG apparatus or the juxtaglomerular apparatus. The afferent arteriole, the efferent arteriole, and the distal convoluted tubule. These three structures are present in very close proximity to each other. They are forming the juxtaglomerular apparatus. From this juxtaglomerular apparatus, a number of things are secreted, and they are having some specialized functions. Now, what are the functions of nephron? So, the functions of nephron according to their structure. The first structure is the Malpighian corpuscle, which is made up of the glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule. And so, the Malpighian corpuscle, this is the initial filtrating component of the nephron. Actually, this is the only filtrating component of nephron. And along with this, just to remind you, the function of nephron is not only to filtrate. The overall function of nephron is not only to filtration of the blood. There are two other functions are there. One function is the reabsorption of that filtrate. Third function is the secretion. So three functions are actually performed throughout the nephron. One is the filtration. So filtration is the solely function, is the only function which is going on in the Malpighian corpuscle. What about the rest two? The secretion and the reabsorption, these two are performed by the renal tubules. So the initial filtration unit or the is the Malpighian corpuscle, and its function is to only filter. Filter of what? Filter of blood. So filter all the components except the protein and the fat. How? Because the pores of the glomerular filtrate are such enough that they will allow the almost 95 or 98% of the water which are present in our blood, very small size proteins, and many other organic or inorganic substances, or those which are necessary to be excreted from the body. Those can be filtered out. But the large size proteins, mainly the plasma proteins or other types of proteins, large size fat molecules along with the blood cells, they cannot go out through this filter. They will remain in the blood and they will backflow to the body. So so that is the filtering component. The blood pressure in the glomerular capillaries averages 55 millimeter of mercury. In the capillaries, the blood pressure, the amount is 55 mm of Hg, and this blood pressure is much higher than the blood pressure which is present in all other capillaries throughout our body. I repeat, the blood pressure of the glomerular capillaries. What are the glomerular capillaries? The capillaries which is present in the Malpighian corpuscle, and the capillaries which are actually from which actually the blood is being filtered and forming the urine. So there should be some pressure. Without pressure, no filtration will occur. So what is the pressure? The pressure is 55 mm of Hg, and this pressure is much higher than the blood pressure which is present in the capillaries. Since we know that our capillaries in the tissue level, they are also having some blood pressure, and they are also having some porous structures, so that some of the blood plasma can be filtered and forming the tissue spaces, tissue fluid, and later on the lymph. Plus sometimes some of the cells can escape throughout these tissue spaces, these pores of the capillaries, and they can act in the tissue spaces. So our normal capillaries are also having the filtrating property, and they are having the blood pressure, but the filtration capability of Malpighian corpuscle, the glomerular capillaries, as well as their blood pressure is much higher than the normal capillaries of our body. Now this glomerular capillary hydrostatic pressure is the force favoring the filtration. So if some force is there in one side, that thing will be filtered from the other side. So that force is actually the blood pressure which is present in the glomerular capillaries, and this blood pressure favors the filtration to occur. If you can remember from your it may be from the second semester, what is there, how the tissue fluids are forming, how the lymph are forming, number of pressures are involved. Actually 4 forces are involved for the formation of, for the filtration of plasma from the blood. That plasma will go enter into the tissue spaces, and then they are termed as the tissue fluid. So here also one of the most important factor which is favoring the filtration of blood in the glomerular capillaries is the pressure, which is amounts to about 55 millimeter of mercury. Now macula densa cells synthesis renin, which regulates the blood pressure. This is the there is the actually the function of the JG apparatus. See, this is the JG apparatus, and the macula densa cells are present there. Can you find out the macula densa cells? See, these are the macula densa cells. Just look at the top one. These are the macula densa cells which are present in the JG apparatus, juxtaglomerular apparatus, afferent arteriole, efferent arteriole, distal convoluted tubule, and there is the cells which are forming the macula densa cells. So what are their functions? These macula densa cells are able to synthesize renin. This renin can control the blood pressure. So there is the role through which up to a certain limit our kidneys are able to maintain the blood pressure by the synthesis of renin from this macula densa cell of juxtaglomerular apparatus. Okay, next one is the proximal convoluted tubule. All these tubules, they are having two functions, two main functions. What are their functions? One function is the reabsorption of the filtrate, second one is the secretion. So PCT reabsorbs and secretes substances into the tubular fluid. 2/3 of the filtered water, I repeat, whatever water is filtered, most of the waters are filtered out from the blood, and whatever filter is there, among them 2/3 of that filtered water, 2/3 of that sodium ion, 2/3 of that glucose, polypeptide, peptides and amino acids are reabsorbed back into the blood. How this reabsorption is possible? I don't know if I have the figure. Yeah, this is how this reabsorption is possible. Just find out. Can you find out the peritubular capillaries? It is not marked there. See, the yellow colored thing is our nephron. The yellow colored thing is the nephron, and that what the color, that some reddish black colored thing is the peritubular capillaries. Just find out that yellow colored thing is the total structure of our nephron, and the black or reddish thing is the peritubular capillaries. These capillaries are actually originating from the efferent arteriole, and finally they are connected with the our normal body blood supply. So these are the peritubular capillaries. Peri means they are present very close to the renal tubules, very close proximity to the renal tubules, so that the substances which are reabsorbed from these renal tubules, they can go directly into these capillaries, and thereby they will become the part of our body blood. So these are the peritubular capillaries. So now go to the function. So 2/3 of this filtered water, sodium, glucose, this and that, they are reabsorbed. Why? Where they are reabsorbed? They are reabsorbed from the proximal convoluted tubule, and then they will enter into the blood, because this proximal convoluted tubule, outside of this tubule, they are having some blood vessels. Those are known as the peritubular capillaries that just now I have shown you. Now reabsorb 80% of the primary filtrate. The primary filtrate, which is filtered already in the glomerulus, 80% of the primary filtrate is reabsorbed, and the organic acid and the bases, so these things are reabsorbed, and some of the organic acid and the bases are secreted. Some of so most of the filtrate, most of the water, sodium, glucose, polypeptide, peptides, amino acids are reabsorbed 80%, and some of the things are also secreted. So what are secreted? The organic acids and the bases. Next is the loop of Henle. So what is function? The same function. It is having the, it reabsorbs and the secretes substances into the tubular fluid as much as 25% of the filtered water and sodium ions are reabsorbed. Urea is secreted. So what are the reabsorbed thing? 25% of the filtered water and the sodium ions are reabsorbed in the loop of Henle. What they are secreting is the urea. So also this loop of Henle has a role in the mechanism for both urinary concentration and the dilution. That role I'll discuss in our next classes, how this loop of Henle is able to maintain the concentration of the urine. Now the descending portion is permeable. Descending portion is permeable, permitting free passage of salt and water, and the ascending portion is impermeable to water. So our next one is the distal convoluted tubule. Now this distal convoluted tubule has a role in the acidification of the urine by removing the sodium ion, replacing the H plus, K plus and the NH3. Next is the aldosterone, which acts as a distal convoluted tubule to increase the rate of sodium ion absorption. Now the aldosterone hormone, which is also having its role on the distal convoluted tubule, and it can increase the rate of the sodium ion reabsorption from the DCT. This DCT also has reabsorption activity under the influence of the antidiuretic hormone. It can transport ions from the tubular lumen to the interstitium. Last and the final one is the collecting tubule. This is also having some role, and this is responsible for the transformation of the tubular fluid into the final one, that is the last in the ureter and finally in the our urinary bladder. Now reabsorption of water under the ADH is also going on in the collecting tubule. This collecting tubule allows passage of small amount of urea into the medullary interstitium to keep up the osmolarity. So these are the general thing, where some of the, just look at the arrows, and just look at the arrows. Some of the arrows are going outwards, some of the arrows are going towards the tubule. The arrows which are showing outwards, that means these substances are reabsorbed and they will go into the blood. The arrows which are entering, that means these substances are secreted in the tubular fluid. Okay, so that's all for this topic.